They can't save Xaden, but they've built this bond together trying. They have to kill him, and then they fuck. Hi, everybody, and welcome to BYOB, the Bring Your Own Book podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Kelly.
And this week we are talking about none other than Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. We have so many things to talk about. We have book things, we have publishing things, we have author things. So much stuff has happened around this book release. And I will say we did interview Rebecca for the release of Fourth Wing. She was lovely. It was a great time. We are not going to let that affect what we think about this book and all of that stuff. Just as a little disclaimer, we are still going to be honest with our thoughts and opinions. But before we get into those thoughts and opinions, Kelly is going to read us the synopsis of Iron Flame.
Everyone expected Violet Sorrengail to die during her first year at Basgiath War College, Violet included. But Threshing was only the first impossible test meant to weed out the weak-willed, the unworthy, and the unlucky. Now the real training begins, and Violet's already wondering how she'll get through. It's not just that it's grueling and maliciously brutal, or even that it's designed to stretch the writer's capacity for pain beyond endurance. It's the new vice commandant, who's made it his personal mission to teach Violet exactly how powerless she is, unless she betrays the man she loves. Although Violet's body might be weaker and frailer than everyone else's, she still has her wits and a will of iron, and leadership is forgetting the most important lesson Basgiath has taught her. Dragon riders make their own rules. But a determination to survive won't be enough this year, because Violet knows the real secret hidden for centuries at Basgiath War College, and nothing, not even dragonfire, may be enough to save them in the end.
Dun, dun, dun. Kelly, please tell us your thoughts and feelings about this book and what you rated it. I think I already kind of know.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I think I put something up on Goodreads, so my thoughts in a nutshell. I was so excited to read this book, and I don't feel let down by the hype. So I am happy with my 4.5 out of 5-star ratings. I did give Fourth Wing a 5 out of 5, and I feel like some things were done better in this book, but then also some things were not as effective in this book as the first book. So I gave it a 4.5 because it was like 100 pages longer than the first book, which is fine. But there were moments where I was like, this is lagging a little bit or like slowing down a little bit, and I don't feel as invested in these moments as the first book, where I was like, oh my god, what's going to happen? People are dying left, right, and center. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that we did not lose a lot of people in this book, because I was extremely stressed about certain moments, which we'll get into.
There were a lot.
Yes! But I gave it a 4.5 because I felt like there were moments where either the pacing was a little slow for my liking, or there were certain things that were revealed, but we weren't privy to them. So we were kind of like just brought there with Violet, and Violet was like, obviously, this is what it was. And I was like, how did we know that? So I gave it a 4.5. I still had a really good time, but so far I think I like the first one a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
What are your thoughts?
No, I think I definitely agree about that. I gave this book a 4.
Okay.
I actually ended up changing my rating on Fourth Wing from a 5 to a 3.
I saw.
After kind of ruminating on everything.
Okay.
And so for backstory, just to like get us to this present place, when I read Fourth Wing, the first maybe 150 pages I blew through, and then I felt like it really sunk, but I wasn't sure if it was the book or if I was just in a reading slump. I was at a really busy time with work and just like everything that was going on, getting ready for the interview and everything like that. I really placed a lot of the why I didn't like it on me. But I think that there were just things in that book that I didn't really connect with. So bringing us into Iron Flame, the part of Fourth Wing that I realized I didn't like the most was Violet and Xaden's relationship. I feel like we were not delivered true enemies to lovers. The way that their relationship progressed was so like haphazard to me. They basically went from I'm really scared of you to having sex. And I want more tension, and I would have really maybe preferred that they didn't get together at all until this book. Having more time, more of a From Blood and Ash kind of situation where they are protecting each other, but there is some actual stakes. It was kind of a theme that Violet would be like, I really don't like him. Just kidding, I really like him. There was no real negative thoughts happening. And I think that's where Fourth Wing kind of drew back for me. So what I really loved about Iron Flame is the fact that they weren't really together throughout the book. So I was really, really enjoying the first half, all of the stuff at the War College, and them going down into the kind of forbidden part of the archives, all of that. I did really like the second part of the book too, but I kind of just, whenever they had sex, my mind just shut off, I think. And I just read through kind of blasé-faire, and then when they were done, I was like back in it to win it.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that turns around for me once we get a little further away from Fourth Wing and the beginning of their relationship. But for this book, I didn't really care about them. There were so many other amazing things happening that I didn't have to focus on them too much.
What about the throne room scene? My house, my throne, my woman. I think that's what he said.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
That was hot.
I don't know if I'm just not in a romance mood or something.
That's fair. Yeah.
But I was just like, it was good. I liked what happened. I feel like if I was in a romance mood, I would have been really into it. But I was just like, cool, banging on the throne. And that was kind of the end of my thought with that.
I mean, fair.
Yeah.
I will say, I can agree with what you're saying about their relationship, because like, now that we know that this series is going to be at least 5 books, I think I heard somewhere that she's like, it could be 6, but right now it's 5. I don't know what that means. I don't know if like the 6th is like an extra. Who knows at this point? But like the fact that they got together in the first book, that's pretty quick, you know? And not that I didn't enjoy the first book, because I did, but I know what you're saying, because like there wasn't a lot of push and pull. They kind of got over their differences, their like different backgrounds, their different viewpoints pretty quickly, and got together and literally like blew shit up with their passion. So like right away. So yeah, like I work at a bookstore, for people who don't know, and I had customers talking to me about Iron Flame, and they were like, oh, we're really worried that there's going to be a love triangle with Dane because Xaden and Violet got together so quickly. And I was like, okay, whoa. I don't see a love triangle happening, because Violet kissed Dane already, and she was like, this ain't it. Not interested. So I don't think there's going to be a love triangle, but I am kind of like, what does their relationship look like over this 5-book arc when they got together so quickly, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. A lot of books that are like this depend a lot on tension in the romance department. So are the next books going to be what this book was, where they're just constantly fighting about their communication skills? That's going to get old pretty quick. Honestly, by the end of this book, I was getting so frustrated with Xaden and just thinking, you know, you need to actually, I don't know, be a part of the relationship for it to work. Because him just saying, you didn't ask. If I had to ask my boyfriend for information all the time, you know this, with like your husband, we'd never freaking know anything. Boys don't know anything. They're not, what? Who, what, when, where, why? I don't know.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started, Nikki, okay? The amount of times I sit around my home trying to talk to my husband, who I love dearly, but I'm like, so I just like spoke for 20 minutes. Do you want to start a conversation now? Do you want to tell me about your day? Do you want to ask me about my day? Because like, hello. And he's like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm just not as talkative. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like, shit, dude. Like,
right?
We're together. I mean, I'm not like Violet. I will ask. I will ask all the questions. But I was annoyed at both of them. She didn't ask anything. He was just like, you didn't ask. You know, like, bitch, you could give something up. You could offer something. So they both need to work on their communication. Like, oh my God.
I have to say, like, just throwing this out, I was way more interested in Sawyer and Jessenia's relationship through this book. Yeah. And we only got to see mere glimpses of it. It probably took up a total of 3 pages worth of mentions throughout the whole 623 page book.
I know.
But I'm in love with Sawyer. I think I'm in love with Sawyer. Because, oh my freaking God. Yeah. For him to be like, I just really like her. I'm going to learn a whole new language.
Mm-hmm. As he
yes,
should.
Please. Yes, please.
Yes, indeed.
I also really, jumping to the end, I really loved.
As we do.
Not loved, but I really liked that he lost part of his leg. Because there's something about the fact that, I mean, there's going to be struggles he's going to come up against in the next book. He is going to have to learn how to ride. He's going to have to wear some kind of prosthetic, I'm assuming, that they have to delve into that. He's part of the squad. You can't talk about him this much and be like, oh yeah, and that guy lost his leg, the end.
If they let him be a dragon rider still, I have no idea what their rules are.
Right? Yeah. And he is, I'm going to say, in love with Jessenia, who is deaf. And I'm sure she is going to help him overcome his struggles with his new disability. And I am just so freaking here for it.
Yes! Late nights in the archives.
Right? Oh, it just kills me.
Yes.
Maybe he'll get a saddle too.
Ooh. Maybe.
I don't know, but
maybe he'll have a saddle like in Princess Diaries 2, where she has the fake leg so she can ride normally and not side saddle.
Oh my God.
But I don't know why that would help him. Maybe just, well, no, if he attached it to himself, it would help him. But like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's a lot about people about a plot line that doesn't really have anything to do with the main story, but I love them.
But it could. We don't know.
I hope it does.
I hope so too, because I mean, at least we did get to see Jessenia. Because like I know that was something we asked Rebecca when we talked to her. I was like, will we see more of her? Because I love her and I just want more. I want more. I want to learn the things. I want to see what she's up to. She's going to help lead the revolution now, or the rebellion, whatever you want to call it. I'm all on board. I freaking loved that archive scene. Like, yeah, it felt so dangerous and exciting and just so cool. Yeah.
That whole, well, right after that scene, I guess. So there was just a sequence of events. I was almost on my period, so I was emotional You know, there
Okay.
were like a lot of feelings flowing through this body. And I hit Nolan betrays Violet by giving her the potion, teary-eyed.
Freaking bitch. Yeah.
Violet sees Liam and he helps her, his spirit, his essence helps her survive Varish attacking her in the cell, teary-eyed. Dane comes in and he sides with her, real tears. I was just crying at that point because I don't know what it was. I hated Dane in the first one, but this book, I had so much hope for him, and I was really feeling like he is going to do the right thing ultimately because he cares about her so much. So I'm like real crying. Xaden comes down, they go up. Her mother gives her the antidote and tells her she has to leave and they have to get her out. So much crying. They get to where all the fucking dragons are and they're like, you can leave. And Professor Deborah is like, we're going to come with you. Just like having a full-blown panic attack over here. I was like, holy shit. It was just so, it like, I don't know, the pacing of that part, and they really hit you like one after the other with really good things. And it felt, you still had all of the energy of the archive visit and everything. Oh, it was great.
Oh my god. It was like there was so much in this book that there were like huge chunks like that where you were like, what? Like
I know.
Just so much going on. And then afterwards there was like a little bit of a lull for me, and then you get back to that, which I know you can't stay up the whole time, but like, my god, I felt like I forgot there was a book 1 or a part 1 and a part 2. When I got to part 2, I was like, what? You know, like there was a part 1. So,
I know. I didn't remember that either.
No. I really loved the I'm going to forget what they called it now, but like where they were dropped in the woods and they had to like navigate to the checkpoint.
I think that's what it was called. Wasn't it just like a navigation exercise? Oh, I can't remember what there was like a course name though.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, where they had to like try to find their checkpoint, and then they were like, we have 2 different maps. Oh, how did we not check? You know, which I'm like, yeah, that's bad. That's a mistake. But that felt so like, okay, this book, there were parts that reminded me of Harry Potter, just in like the sense of like how I felt when I read certain Harry Potter books.
Yeah.
And I also had Star Wars vibes at certain parts. So I have a lot of feelings about certain things, but I loved that part. It was nice to meet other people in the healer quadrant and the infantry quadrant, because we haven't really met anyone in those parts yet.
Yeah.
So that was fun, because I feel like we've been stuck with the 2 scribes we see, Jacinia and like one other, or like the head scribe teacher dude, and then Dragon Riders, basically.
Yeah. I didn't really think about that when I was reading that part, that we hadn't seen any infantry or healers. But I hope that, especially after the battle at the end of this book, where they're talking about like infantry is the first line of defense, and that's what it's like in our real military too. They're kind of, in a really awful way to say it, like the disposables.
Yeah.
They are the people that go out before everybody else.
Yeah.
And seeing all of the people who are part of the infantry sector, there were so many of them who were injured at the end of this battle. I want to know, like, do they do something to help them or to bridge the gap between all of the different sectors of the college or of just their areas of expertise in general? Because there has to be a better way to do this. Maybe the addition of the flyers will help that, because the flyers were on the ground helping a lot because the griffins couldn't fly in the rain.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I want to know. I want more characters, even though we have so many. She's very good at bringing in new ones and making you feel like you've known them for a long time.
Yes. Yeah, she is. Yeah, and like, oh god, now I'm gonna Cat. Cat is her name.
Yeah.
The flyer.
Yeah.
I didn't like her at first. Now I'm like, maybe you're growing on me. Maybe.
I like
I'm
her.
still gonna wait and see.
Like by the end, I liked her. I think, though, she was like the Imogen of this book. That Imogen kind of played that part last in Fourth Wing. So I hope that there isn't another girl enemy in the third one. I think that's we're kind of done. Can the girls all not just hype up the other girls now?
But I mean, we both know we're both women. We've both experienced other women being complete trash. Unfortunately, we can't all just lift each other up because we're tired.
For real.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, I really liked seeing their Cat and Violet's relationship blossom from this kind of like, I wouldn't say like Cat wasn't jealous. Cat was just vindictive.
No.
And this pure like rage and jealousy from Violet to understanding and respect. And at the end, you could see that, I don't know if they will become friends. I feel like there's a good possibility that they will be, just because of the essence of these books and the way that things have been going so far. But even if they don't become close, this really amazing squad bond of like, it doesn't matter if I'm mad at you, I'm gonna back you up out there no matter what, because that's what we're here for. And I really love that. That means almost more than a friend doing it for you.
Yeah, I feel like I've never been in a war, in battle. I really hope I never have to. Knock on wood. But I just feel like, yeah, they might not become friends, but they will have that level of respect for each other because they're literally like saving each other's lives or trying to protect each other. They have the same goal. And now that Kat knows that the people who came with Violet, all those people from the War College, they're on the same side. They did not know what they know now. They're fighting a common enemy. So, yeah, I'll be surprised if they're ever friends, but I'm okay with that. I don't need everyone to be best friends, but
No.
I think there's going to be some badass stuff coming up with the two of them.
I hope so. I want more griffins.
Yeah, they seem so cute.
I was so majorly stressed out by them walking up to
I know what you're going to say.
Tyrandor or whatever when they're walking up the mountain.
Yeah.
I feel like my hands were sweating as I was reading it when they're trying to jump her over. Oh, what was her name? Luella?
Maybe. I don't know. But yes.
Oh my god. And then frickin', was it Riddock or Sawyer who Riddock got shot or something by the arrows. Yes. And then she fell and the griffin dove after her. And there were so many parts of this where I was just getting teary about stuff.
Oh, no. I didn't.
Because they just like, they just won't.
Emotions.
They just won't live without their rider.
I know. If you bring in an animal death ever, I'm like,
I know.
Why? What did they do to deserve this?
I felt the same when Taryn was like, Violet, you're not, if you die, you're my last rider. I will die. Like, I'll kill myself once you're gone. And I just felt, a little bit shook by that because he also mentions that he's not really that old for dragons.
Yes?
He says so Andarna says something to him about the elders or whatever, and he he says basically, I'm not that old. Or maybe he's referring to Coda, Malgrin's dragon, because Coda's older. But anyway, I was just kind of surprised, like, okay, he's not that old, and then he says he's going to kill himself. And I was like, oh my God. You can't.
Speaking of... Yeah. Speaking of Andarna and ages, apparently she's like 700 years old or something, or like over 600 years old. She's been like waiting to hatch. She's been waiting for Violet.
Yeah.
And she's hatched, and now she went through her puberty. And that was one of the things where I was like, what? Because she's like the 7th type of dragon. She's like purple.
Yeah.
And when we found that out, Violet was like, yes, of course. And I was like, what? Did we hear these things? Did we?
I know.
Okay.
No.
Not just me. Okay. So I was like,
we
what?
didn't.
I'm not a scribe. I was not trained to be a scribe, Violet. You got to like let me know what you know, please.
I know. That was kind of I wish that things would have been explained a little bit more. And maybe when in the 3rd book, when she eventually has to tell people. Right now the only beings that know are her and the elder dragons. They're the only ones that know that Andarna is a 7th kind of dragon. She's the 7th den. And she's the only one. Did you cry when she said, I just wanted to look like Taryn because he's basically the best? Like, I don't remember exactly what she says, but she looks up to him so much that's why she made her scales black. And I was like, oh my God.
No, I like never cry for books. So I am a cold-hearted bitch when I read, usually.
I feel like I'm gonna cry right now just thinking about it, because it just made me so happy, sad. Like, he's her dad, even if he's not her dad.
Yeah.
Oh. And then she can chameleon herself. That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm still waiting to hear more about that, because I'm going to have to send it to you. I meant to bring this up. There was a Vanity Fair interview with Rebecca Yarros, and she goes into a lot of things that are like mildly spoilers for the next book. And I think she said, like, we haven't heard her full abilities yet, so I'm very curious, because it does seem like she can camouflage, because like when she was hiding in the boulders, she was like completely unseen. But I'm like, what is her skill then? Or like, what is her power? Because there's also the signet that she's going to get. Like, Violet's going to get a second signet, which I have theories on. And she said, you've already seen little hints of it in this book. So I'm like,
oh. So what are your theories?
Okay, I think that she's like, she can like walk in people's dreams or see people's dreams or something.
Oh.
Because she kept seeing that dream with the Venom sage dude.
Sage.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, what? Because then at the end, when we see Xaden has that dream, that's what I wonder. But then I don't know if her seeing Liam is like connected to that. I don't know, because she clearly has not died. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess in the back of my mind, I was thinking she's going to get another signet from Andarna, but I didn't really think about what that would be, because really until that very moment where she goes, I have been hiding, or like, where are you? I'm right here. And she comes out of the space. I was like, oh, like that's really the first thing we see of her that shows any kind of ability as a adolescent dragon.
Yeah.
Other than when she says like her like kind of little hints about like her scales don't look quite black, they kind of look purple, or sometimes they look green and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I was picturing her kind of like rainbow fish. We're like, sometimes she looks blue, sometimes she's green. Oh, she looks black now. Like, I was like, what's going on
I was
here?
picturing that magnetic nail polish that's black, but it has the iridescence in it. When you move your hands, you can see it sometimes.
Yeah. Fancy.
I know. Oh my gosh. I guess also talking about signets, we need to talk about Xaden bringing up his thing at the end. I was like, oh,
right?
Okay.
So,
That's a twist.
Let's clarify this, because I feel like I just finished this month, but I'm like, whoa, wait a sec. So the reason why he has 2 is because his mated dragon was his grandfather's dragon.
Yes.
Okay, and that's why they usually don't stick to the family line, because it like makes you more powerful.
They can either manifest a second signet or they could go crazy.
Or both.
So it's really risky.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we will see Xaden. Well, I mean, Xaden's gonna go crazy in the next book anyway, but maybe just not because of that.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah, so he is intrinsic, but it's not the same as some other kinds. Like it's not just everybody screaming at him. He can get the essence of somebody's motivation before they think it. So kind of the subconscious act of their motivation before it comes into their mind.
Yes. Yeah. So like in the first book, there was that kid at the school who like he could hear everyone's thoughts and he wasn't cool about it. He lost his cool and they killed him immediately. So, yeah.
Which, like, harsh, but I get. I don't know. I mean, I don't live in that world. But if I could hear everybody's thoughts, I'd probably want someone to kill me too. I have a hard time with my thoughts some days.
I don't know. I mean, depending on the person, maybe I'd like a break from my head, you know? We'll see, depending on who it was. But like the thing that I really liked about that part with the Xaden was when Violet was like, well, what does it mean? Like, what's your limit? Like, what's your capability? He's like, I don't know, because there's no one I can ask. Like, there's no one alive that we know of that does this, because they're usually killed. So this is what I think I can do, you know? And I like that because it makes sense. And I like that he doesn't know fully his own capability, because I hate when people are like, I have this thing I do and I'm an expert immediately, you know? Like,
I know. And too, like, think about if maybe he's scared to push himself with it, because what if that does open the floodgates for hearing everybody's thoughts?
Yeah.
That would be awful.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, it would be more realistic if he had the first one and then he could hone his skills to get what he has. Because right now I'm like, wow, you're living in the lap of luxury with this super secret signet that could be really awful, but you just happen to get like the best of the worst.
Yeah.
But whatever. I think I'm just anti-Xaden at the moment.
I'm not anti-Xaden, but I am scared because the ending was my Star Wars vibes moment. I was like, please don't tell me that Xaden is Anakin and he's gonna like turn into Darth Vader. Like, I can't. I'm gonna be so pissed off.
I know people will be pissed off, and I don't know if I necessarily like want it to go that way. But think about how good it would be if she did, because everybody is counting on this relationship working.
But it's a romance.
I mean, I know, but like, it doesn't mean the romance can't happen with somebody else. Maybe they bring in another person that's going to help him.
Okay.
Jack Barlow.
Oh my god. Okay, we'll get to him in a sec. That friggin' piece of shit. I was so mad on many
He killed his own dragon.
I know.
Honestly, I was like, if he had killed Violet, I would have felt better about it than him stabbing Blaine. Honestly, I would have felt better, because Like, he's just a baby. I mean, I know they're probably like 600 or 700 years old, but he's just a dragon, just a baby.
The fact that they didn't kill him right then and there when they saw that, they're like, no, we got to question him. Bitch, I don't need to know. I've gotten all I need out of you. You're gone. Okay? You're gone.
Right?
But, okay, here's what I was going to say about maybe she'll bring someone in. I hope if this happens, Rebecca, if you're listening, if you bring someone in, please don't let it be Dane. I don't want it to be Dane. Been there, done that. Not interested. I want it to be someone new. And then maybe there's like a, I don't want to say why choose, but I'm thinking of, because we just talked to Jennifer L. Armtrout recently, and we talked to her about how in some of her romances, she has the main character with several people, and not at the same time necessarily, but like, you know, in real life, you don't just have one partner for your whole life necessarily. Not everyone has that. Mm-hmm. So why not? If you're saying she could bring in someone new, yeah, maybe she's with Xaden now. Someone else comes in. Here we go. They help fix Xaden's issues. I don't know what happens with him at the end. We'll see. Maybe he goes back to her. I don't know. But I don't want it to be Dane. I really don't. It doesn't feel right to me.
No, and I don't think it's going to be Dane. I think that they're going to heal their relationship, and they're going to be a very strong, I'm going to say couple, but I don't mean couple. They're going to be very strong coupled together.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is they bring in this new guy. Mm-hmm. He's fire. Yes. He's fucking hot as shit.
Yes.
His name doesn't resemble Xaden or Jackson or any kind of like weird millennial name that sounds icky. It's like, I don't know.
Grant. I don't
know.
I don't know.
James, something strong. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
Tried and true. Yeah.
They can't save Xaden, but they've built this bond together trying. They have to kill him, and then they fuck. Just a thought.
Oh my god. Violet finds out she has a twin brother, but she doesn't know it's her twin brother. And then they share a kiss because there's this other guy. There's this like Griffin flyer who's like, ugh, I'm so grumpy all the time and I'm mad and whatever. And then she's like, oh, that's my brother. I had no clue. And then she gets with the grumpy guy. And then we bring the Star Wars full circle.
Wow, this is getting really Mortal Instruments, and actually I'm really here for it.
Mortal Instrument? Oh, I haven't read that yet.
Oh my god. Yes.
I was thinking more Star Wars.
I'm here for so many possibilities. I understand that they are probably going to save Xaden, and him, and Violet are going to be together. Mm-hmm. That's fine. You know,
is it funny?
It is what it is. And if the rest of the books are this long, I will have lots of content that's not them. So, but I don't know, maybe when we do our episode on the third book, I am just going to love Xaden and Violet so much. Who knows?
I mean, we'll see.
I'm a very fickle creature. I could flip-flop every day.
I just feel like if we get to the end of the series, hypotheticals now, people, if we get to the end of the series and he is like full Darth Vader mode and they bring him back from the ledge, you know, he's not going to be the same Xaden he was before. He's going to be completely different. I don't know if that's going to be a relationship that they want to be in. So in terms of how this romance plotline ends up, I have no freaking clue.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ugh. I don't know. I don't want him to be Darth Vader.
I don't have an opinion. I do have opinions about Jack Barlow, though.
Oh, dude, tell.
I could not. I mean, I could, but I couldn't believe that that's who Nolan had been trying to mend this whole time. Also, wouldn't he have just been like flattened like a pancake?
Right.
How the hell was he intact and alive enough to mend that?
I don't know. Those are some great questions, Nikki.
And also, why was he so nice?
Well, he wasn't. He was pretending.
But why bother?
He said he did that out of like, not out of spite, but he said that he specifically did it because he wanted to like surprise her later and really like feel like, ho, I held one over you or whatever. I got one over you. And I'm like, bitch, she didn't trust you for a second. Okay.
But I think he still succeeded because I was shocked a little.
I literally gasped when he came back, like the first time. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
I know.
Why is he back? He was so scary in the first book. Like, he terrified me in the first book. I was so scared. And then he's back. Like, no.
Also, I understand for like plot that he saved her on top of the, like on the roof. But for character motivation, wouldn't it have just been so much easier to just step on her hand and let her fall and die?
Right? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Clearly I don't know. I didn't write the book.
No.
But I just think it was a little weird looking back on it. I think that it would have made more sense for him to just try to kill her then and her save herself somehow.
Yeah. Or like Taryn come in and
scoop her up.
Yeah, because he was on his way anyway. He probably would have gotten her. He's faster than her. Gravity, maybe. I don't know. My question is, why did they save him? Like, why? I don't understand that. Why did they save Jack
after?
At the beginning? Like, this whole time. Were they trying to figure out how he was getting, like, the venom power in his veins or something? Like, I don't know.
That's a really great question because Varish is the one, I'm assuming, that told Nolan he had to save him. And I'm assuming they would know he was a venom. If you're leaning over the guy for 16 hours a day trying to make sure he's okay, I'm sure you check his eyeballs every once in a while. Make sure stuff's still happening up there. So, I actually have no idea because what was Varish working with the venom, or were they just trying to study him? I don't know why they would let him out to be a student if they were studying him.
He was released after Varish was... No, he was released before Varish was killed? Yeah. So yeah, like what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I don't know either. Like I have questions.
Or did he become a venom after he was brought back?
Yeah.
I just don't know. What is the timeline of the poisoning?
Yeah.
I'm going to call it a poisoning because I feel like I don't know what really that is.
I think...
They bite him like a vampire?
I think he said it was like... I'm trying not to make this Star Wars, but this is the best I can... I'm not even a Star Wars expert. This is the thing that it's like, what is going on here? My husband loves Star Wars, but I don't even think that he would call himself an expert. So anyways, what I gathered is that it's like you choose to go to the dark side. So like instead of the dragon, when it dies, you die, he like sucked the power into himself. So I don't know what he did before he killed the dragon to like get that little venom juice or whatever in him. But like Xaden also would have had to do something where he chose the dark side or evil to get the little red in his eyes, which I'm like, what? When did he do that?
I think it's when he killed the sage. Maybe that was his only way to kill him, was to drain his power.
Or to take power from the earth. But then if the sage is the sage, how did you beat the sage? He's already got more of the earth power, right? Rebecca, I have questions.
Hopefully they get answered in the next one. And we have to wait a whole year for it.
Oh my God. I just saw on Goodreads this morning.
Yeah. December 1st, I think. Well, at least that's what it says right now.
Whatever. It's got to be a Tuesday. If December 1st next year's a Tuesday, then sure. I don't know. But I really hope it's not December.
I know.
That's so long.
Oh, speaking of sucking power, Sloane sucking the life out of Violet's mom into the ward stone.
Oh.
I was just like ultimate hidden hero mom. Wow.
Yeah.
What a great
Redemption.
also mom sacrifice.
Yeah.
That was really such a sad but like very beautiful moment that she did that. And at the beginning of the chapter or the beginning of the next chapter, it showed recovered correspondence from her to her husband saying, I will, like, nothing else matters, but I'll do anything to protect our children. And I was like just, it was so good. There were so many good mom moments in this. What's her name? Lorelai? Sorrengail? Laurel? I don't know why I think it starts... Oh, Lilith.
Was it really? That's a good name.
I kind of think.
I don't know.
They showed her name in correspondence a couple times.
Okay. Yeah, that part was really like, ugh. But it was so good. And it's nice. She's got her Lilith. Okay. She's got her redemption arc there. And it's great too because, well, I shouldn't say great, but it's interesting because now her kids have all these different thoughts brewing inside of them, right? Like they already did. And now it's like, well, shit, you're not here for me to try to work through this and try to heal.
Yeah. And they have her to thank. Because without her making that sacrifice, they were definitely going to lose. And I don't know. I didn't really have faith in her mother in the first one. I think the thing that's really getting me about these books is plots that I feel like would typically be dragged out for a really long time all kind of ended in this book.
Yeah.
The mom plot ended. Brennan being a secret from Lilith ended. The enemies to lovers kind of ended in the first book.
Dane,
that ended way sooner than I thought it was going to. Varish actually died, which I didn't think he was going to.
Scary.
I'm just feeling like, what's even going to happen in the next one?
I'm so glad you said that because I was having the exact same thought at the same moment, like literally right now, because I'm like, this is supposed to be 5 books. What the fuck is going to happen? Because they just had this massive battle where they killed a ton of wyvern and venom. I'm sure there's a lot more where they came from, but they killed the sage.
Oh, yeah.
What is going to happen? They put up one of the wards. They fixed it. They got to fix their other ward. And then they're basically all set, maybe? Question mark. We'll see. But I don't know. Like, yeah.
Well, and they can't fix the ward in Tyrandor because a dragon can only light one ward stone. And Andarna lit the one that's powering all of Navarre. So that's what she was saying to Xaden. What should I do? We're going to be sacrificing your homeland to do this. And he said, you have to save where you are. And I mean, really, giving up Tyrandor was a better option anyway because it's so small compared to a ward stone that's powering so many other stones all across a whole continent. So that makes sense. I think we will see another one of Andarna's Den by the end of the series. Just for, the survivability of the whole world.
Who the hell? I mean, I'm assuming dragons lay eggs the same way that other animals do. There's got to be some kind of fertilization.
Yeah.
So But does she have to get down with another purple? Because that's not going to happen.
No. Maybe, I don't know. We don't know anything about dragons or the Empyrean, I guess. Maybe it's based on the mother's, like, the mother's den.
I don't know.
Taryn and Sagail don't have any offspring that we know of, at least.
Yeah. And they have sex like all the time. So
yeah.
I have no clue.
I don't know. But I need to know. And we better know by the end of the series.
They've just had a huge battle. There's going to be more. But I'm like, 5 books? What?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she said to us when we talked to her that the whole series takes place in like a year or a little bit over a year. So it's not like this is going to be an epic saga where like we're with them for decades.
I kind of would like that though, if the first 3 books kind of revolved around this and then it came back for like 15 years later or 20 years later and something else has happened. I never like really liked dragon stuff, but I really like this dragon stuff.
When I was a kid, I tried to read Aragon, could not get into it. I tried several times. Jesus. And I loved the book cover.
Yeah.
I had the like original fancy paperback. It was so smooth and had like the folded end paper and the deckled edges, I think. It was so nice. But could not get into it. The movie was terrible. The best thing about the movie was the Avril Lavigne song, which like shocker, but it was great.
I only think about Jeremy Irons.
I was like, why are you in this? Like, what? What's happening?
Right?
Why are you here? Who made you do this? Like, your agent needs to be fired. No. But no, I always want to like dragon things, but I can never get into them. So I'm happily surprised that I actually really like these books. So
yeah, I wasn't like really sure what to expect going into them. I mean, I know we got an email about them and I had never heard about it before we got the email for the arc. So, but I also like don't keep up to date on like new stuff. I get all of that from you. I don't have to because you just go, hey, this new book, and I go, okay.
I mean, I'm always looking at things, but it also helps that I work with books.
Yeah.
So like I see things or I hear things. I had such a fun time the day that this book came out at work, seeing everyone buy them and me being like, have you read it yet? Like the first book they were buying or like the holiday edition. I was so sad that our store did not do a midnight release because I would have totally gone even if I didn't work. Yeah. I just missed that. I went to one Harry Potter midnight release as a kid or like as a teenager, and it was so cool. It was the best time ever. And I just love that sense of community. Like, you're buying this, I'm buying it. I'm on chapter 8. I'm so excited. I had to put the book down because I had to work here, but I'm so happy you're buying it, you know? Like,
yeah.
So
yeah, I was it was really cool to you and we both know this because we were there.
Yeah.
We both showed up at the store at 10 a.m. when it opened so that we could get our copies of Iron Flame and also pick up the Fourth Wing Holiday Edition. My boyfriend drove me and we're in the parking lot and there's all of these other cars coming in and they're all younger or like women. And I said to him, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think we're all here for the same thing. And it turned 10 and we all got out of our cars and walked into Chapters for exactly the same thing. It was really heartwarming.
It was like, I'm with my people. And, you know, I pre-ordered the books, but I wanted to go right away in case there was something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Not even knowing that there was a lot of printing issues and shit. I'm just paranoid about like creased papers.
Yeah. Oh, that's good segue because
you're welcome.
I don't know if it made its way to Canada. I haven't seen any like where people were specifically saying they were in Canada, but the printing problems with these books, the Fourth Wing Holiday Edition, and I think it was mostly Iron Flame that got the bad printing, but we're talking the spine says Fourth Wing, even though it's an Iron Flame book. The last part of the book is at the beginning in the Fourth Wing Holiday Edition, and then it starts on page 39. Maps upside down on the bookends. The spine of the book being printed sideways so it runs over the front cover. There were massive bleeding of the black sprayed edges into the paper. And it's just crazy to me. So many different problems. Usually when there's a problem like that, it's all the same problem.
Yeah.
The plethora of issues. And I mean, I don't work at a printing press, but from what I heard online from people who work in editing, part of the issue is that they would have had to order all of the paper for Iron Flame before Fourth Wing was even released this year. So on top of releasing Iron Flame and then also releasing a holiday edition of Fourth Wing, that's a lot of stuff and like supply and demand that they didn't know they were going to have to do because they didn't know how big Fourth Wing was going to be. So that's like a lot of extra supplies being ordered. Also file issues. Like printing presses getting these files from the publisher and them all interpreting them differently. And that's how different issues could have aroused.
Aroused. Oh.
When
Something's going on.
when I get a book and it's damaged, that's not arousing. Just saying. It just makes me angry. But yeah, lots of crazy stuff happening with this release. And so I think it's great that, I mean, obviously I want the third book now, but they need to figure out their stuff for next time and what went wrong. So
yeah, like my holiday edition, I'm gonna have to double check. I think I did check after I heard all that stuff going on, but I think it is fine.
Mine is too.
But there's a little, okay, good. There's a little bit of glue on the bottom of my spine, like it just like seeped out. And so I think one day maybe I'll take my little like craft scalpel and just carefully chisel that little piece off. But other than that, I think it's fine. But like, you know, I have taken books in at work that were misprintings or whatever. And like, it does happen, but to this level is like, what?
Yeah.
So that's a little weird that it was this level of misprintings. And I feel bad at the same time that like, you know, a lot of people might be thinking, I hope not, but a lot of people might think it's something against Rebecca Yarros of like, how could she let this happen? She doesn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah,
you know what
no.
I mean? So hopefully she's not getting any flack about that, because I can't imagine you create something, there's this huge hype around it, and you're like, yay, people want my book. It's a success. Great. And then there's like all this problem with the physical item, and you're like, I don't have anything to do with that. I'm so sorry.
I
so
know.
hopefully she's
And there
not
were
getting shit for that, because like, God.
Yeah, because that's a publisher thing. I think also too, with them not having the supply to meet the demand, they focused a lot on getting copies to big box stores. Amazon pre-orders were getting canceled like crazy because they didn't have the stock. People were just canceling their order and going to Walmart or Barnes & Noble or whatever to pick up a copy of it. Small bookstores were getting emails saying that their shipments weren't coming in at all, which fucking blows. You'd think you could spread the wealth. This bookstore in New York's getting 700 copies of this book. Probably you couldn't just give them 650 and send 50 to a small bookstore.
Oh my God. I think the most I've seen of okay. What am I trying to say here? I work at a big box store. The most quantity I've seen for a book that we've gotten was, I want to say 400. And it was a memoir. I can't imagine getting 700 books. Granted, we're in a smaller location.
Yeah.
But like, we're in a sizable enough location, especially like where there's not a lot of big box bookstores in the province here. We get a good amount of books in. But like Fourth Wing, we had 8 the first day.
That's crazy.
Iron Flame, we had at least 50, at least.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, but that's really shitty.
And think about like I think that there was at least one bookstore in New York that did a midnight release.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean New York. This place is fucking massive. Hundreds of people lined up to get this book. And I'm assuming they had enough copies.
Tickets.
Yeah.
You had to reserve tickets. So
Yeah.
I think that's so they can have the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
hopefully.
And then I would think probably the next day they probably had a reserve of more for people who obviously didn't want to go out at midnight.
Yeah.
And buy it. But holy crap.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. It was, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's exciting in a way that like people are excited about a book and they want to get it. It does suck though that it's all supply and demand. Like, I have a theory. I don't have any actual like insight on this, but I have a theory that the first book they knew was going to be big. I mean, they pumped a lot of money into the marketing.
Yeah.
We got a copy, very excited about getting that advanced copy.
Yeah.
But like there was so much buzz before it even came out and it just exploded. I said to my coworker one day, I was like, I don't think that they didn't think it was going to be big. I think they really hoped it was going to be big. Maybe they didn't think it would get that big that quickly. But like, it just reminds me of when the Wii first came out years and years ago.
Right.
There was a huge supply and demand issue there, and it was Christmas time, and the prices went way up for the book, or not the book, for the gaming system. And I mean, you can go on eBay right now and you can look up the Fourth Wing first edition or Fourth Wing Arcs. I'm sure the holiday edition now, and the prices are crazy high. Like, people want this book. So it's like great that people want your book, but it is just like so stressful too. When it's supposed to be like this enjoyable leisurely pastime.
I know. And they're so expensive, like even just to buy it in a store, not having to like auction it online. They're very expensive books. I know that books in the States are a little bit cheaper, but in Canada they're scalping you for hardcovers.
It's so expensive. Okay, so in one of my library classes, they talk about that, and like it's a lot of like legal stuff as well as like the actual resources, but like it sucks so much because I don't know if it's the government or publishers or a mixture of the two, but like at least for libraries, they get certain funding where they have to like use it towards Canadian publishers or whatever. And then, but there's so many books that are published through the States that are like cheaper for the States, but not Canada. And they're like, well, I need that book. So how do I get it? Because do you think we can get Iron Flame in our library here? No.
Yeah.
No.
And there should be like 5 copies because
at least, because it is huge in demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like a whole thing with like books from the US to Canada, which sucks because we're right here.
Yeah.
But you know.
Well, you think too, like the big 5 are all American, I believe. So that's a huge monopoly on books that our libraries can't get because they can only buy from Canadian publishers. Like,
yeah,
that's crazy to me.
Not that they can just buy from them, but they're really pushed towards that. And there are certain like benefits, I guess, or maybe they get more funding if they do support more Canadian. Like, it's just a whole rabbit hole of like, what? But we still need the things that people want, and they're not necessarily from here. And I don't even freaking know.
Catch-22.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sounds like a government problem.
I feel like before we wrap up, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yes, we do.
Which is the whole, I don't know if it started with a TikTok or what, but like the thing about Rebecca Yarros using Scottish Gaelic and then not knowing how to pronounce the words.
Oh, I could go on about this forever because, wow. I saw it initially on a TikTok, and I don't know where she was doing the interview, but it was a live panel interview where people had asked her, how do you pronounce the names of the dragons and the War College, etc. Somebody who is Scottish and speaks Scottish Gaelic stitched this video explaining that is not, in fact, how you pronounce these words. She calls it Gaelic, which is Irish. Irish Gaelic and Scottish Gaelic are, in fact, two completely different languages. And honestly, I just think at this point in time, with the resources we have and the fact that she put so much of this into her book, there is absolutely no reason for her to be so uneducated about the actual content of her story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's frankly just a little embarrassing.
I mean, yeah, look, full transparency here, people. Like, we talked to Rebecca. So, like, we don't know her well. We know her a little bit. She seemed very nice. She was very interesting to talk to, very friendly. And I don't think this is anything personal against her. Like, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's like, you should know.
Yeah.
If you're choosing to put that in your book, you should know. I'm going to play, I don't want to say devil's advocate because I really fucking hate that. And I hate when people say, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Like, no. I'm just going to offer another perspective, okay? If I were her and I was put on the spot and I was like, oh my God, I don't speak this language, but I used it, I would have just said that. And, you know, she's in the moment. She can't go back. She did apologize and she's like, I have a tutor now. I'm really hoping to be able to speak Scottish Gaelic next year when I'm touring. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel so bad for her on like a personal level where it's like, I don't think she meant harm. I think she just literally, I feel rude to say it, but I'm just going to say it because it is what it is. It's just ignorant. That's all it is. You know, it's like,
well, that's the thing. Like, I think
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think she meant harm, but in the end, I don't think every person who speaks Scottish Gaelic was offended by this, but I know that there were a good portion of people that were, and I could probably say that if that was a language that I spoke, I would also feel a little bit hurt that somebody profited off of my home country's language and didn't take the time to educate themselves on even just the fact that it's Gaelic and not Gaelic. And she's writing it. She's not saying the words.
Yeah.
I think, just be honest and say, you know, I looked up the meanings for these things. I think this is really amazing. I can't pronounce it because I don't speak Gaelic. This is how I say it because I'm not a Gaelic speaker. And I think that just the way that it happened was very unfortunate.
Yeah. And well, I think I read somewhere that she said after that happened, she was like, I really was inspired by my heritage. And so I thought it would be really cool to use this in the book. So, and again, I would like to point out that people like to take someone who's really popular and bring them down because they want to be like contrarian or whatever, or oppositional. She's not the only author who's done this, and she's not going to be the last. She's, especially in fantasy, like, come on, you know? So while I think it's really unfortunate, and like, if I were in that position, I would feel embarrassed and I would be like, oh my God, I don't think it's like she needs to be canceled now. No. And I don't think it's not great, but I don't think it's unsalvageable. And I think it's just a really kind of awkward hiccup that you can use to learn from and move forward.
And because, I think too, it's, if it is her heritage, if her family came from Scotland, I think that's still a lot better than her being like, I use this African language that I obviously have no connection to, and then I didn't bother learning anything about it, and here we are.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Or, you know, it could have been a lot worse. I do feel like that was a very avoidable situation, and I think that a smaller author would have been more prepared for something like that, just because they're less protected, honestly, than larger authors. She does have a good career outside of Fourth Wing. It's not like she's brand new to the publishing world. She's been publishing books for a long time, and she has a good team. I think that maybe somebody who didn't have a team like that would have been like, where are they going to get me?
Yeah. Or they would have flown under the radar because people don't know them. Yeah. You know? But I do think also that interviewer, I think she kind of was like hoping to catch her in something a little bit because it's good for ratings.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but at least I will say for us, when we interview someone, we give them the questions ahead of time. Yeah. Because just as a courtesy, it's like, I can imagine if I were an author, I'd be nervous to talk to people all the time. I'd be like, oh God, what are they going to ask? What if I don't know what to say? What if I sound stupid? Like, I don't know. And it's not like, it's not scripted what they tell us, but we do give them the option of like, this is what we're going to ask you. We might have little follow-up questions, but like, this is the main gist of what we're going to ask you.
Yeah, because like we're not doing just like a little 5-minute interview where we want the facts and then we get out. Yeah. We take a lot of time with these authors. We spent over 2 hours with Jennifer. We spent around 2 hours with Rebecca. Mm-hmm. We want to have a real conversation and have a really good back and forth and it feel like friends are talking instead of us just grilling them.
Yeah, you're on the hot seat. Yeah.
Yeah. So we give the questions before, because how much more comfortable would you be going into something if you knew what they were actually going to ask you?
Right? Someone I've never met. I'm going to talk to you for like an hour plus, and you know, we'll just see what happens about this thing I created. Like, no, especially where we come, like our backgrounds are in the arts. Like, you want as much info and a plan as possible. It's not just let's wing it. Like, no, no pun intended.
I love that.
But you know, I feel bad for her, and at least now she's on a break. She's like not doing the tour anymore, so she can kind of like settle back into her day-to-day life, hopefully, and work on the third book
so we can read it, because I want to know. Yes. I want to know, like, really all of that stuff aside, like what we just talked about with the release and like the flubs there and that interview with Rebecca. We really did enjoy this book so much. Yeah. The other 1 hour of this episode shows that. We had such a good time, and we cannot wait for the third one. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode. If you want to hear more from us, you can follow us on Instagram at BYO Book Podcast or on TikTok at Bring Your Own Book Podcast. Join us next time where we have a fun little discussion video for you before Christmas. And then after that, we have our yearly wrap up. So we're getting close to the end of the season now. We have a few more things planned for you guys before 2024 hits. And until next time, keep on drinking in great stories. Cheers!